Welcome to the Vault Excel. This is live number 2. Please check my community board and the YouTube queue for my earlier live pertaining to a 6-year-old boy who was viciously murdered in Plainfield, Illinois, alongside the stabbing of his mother. She survived. The landlord has been arrested, a Joseph Zuba, 71 years of age, Caucasian male, currently in a jail. This is considered a hate crime by the feds, Department of Justice, and local officials. Will he? Will it be? What is the word I'm looking for? Considered a federal crime? I don't know. We will see. But when I get an update, I'll bring you that said information. Please check my community board for the said polls and update pertaining to that story. Oh, mercy. I'm going to bring you an update pertaining to this scumbag by the name of Vandersloot. He's been a suspect in the disappearance of Natalie Holloway, and there's some good news pertaining to his extradition back here to the United States. A lawyer for Beth Holloway, the mother of Alabama teenager whose 2005 disappearance remains unsolved, said the suspect, Jeroen Vandersloot, had accepted a plea deal. Jeroen Vandersloot, the Dutch national linked to the 2005 overseas disappearance of 18-year-old Natalie Holloway, is expected to plead guilty this week to extorting the missing Alabama teenager's mother, Beth Holloway. A lawyer for Miss Holloway said Mr. Vandersloot, 36, had been in Peru serving a prison sentence for murder when he was extradited to the United States in June to face federal extortion and fraud charges stemming from a 2010 indictment. He had pleaded not guilty. But Mr. Vandersloot has now reached a plea deal with federal prosecutors, according to John Q. Kelly, a lawyer for Beth Holloway, who played a role in securing Mr. Vandersloot's indictment. A new plea and sentencing hearing has been scheduled for Wednesday in Birmingham, Alabama. Mr. Vandersloot's public defender, James Gibson, could not immediately be reached on Saturday. The federal prosecutor on the case could not be reached. The authorities in Peru this year announced that they would temporarily extradite Vandersloot to face charges in the United States. He had been serving a 28-year sentence in the country for the 2010 murder of 21-year-old student Stephanie Flores. Mr. Vandersloot was one of the last people to be seen with Natalie Holloway on May 30th, 2005, the day she disappeared while on a trip with her high school class in Aruba, the Caribbean island nation and former Dutch colony where Mr. Vandersloot had been living. And as most of you know, her remains, the whereabouts, of Miss Holloway remain unknown. A judge declared her legally dead in 2012, and her remains have never been found. Around the time Mr. Vandersloot was arrested in the killing of Miss Flores, a federal grand jury in Alabama indicted him for trying to extort $250,000 from Miss Holloway in exchange for information on her daughter's death and the location of her remains. Miss Holloway made an initial payment of $25,000 to Mr. Vandersloot as part of an FBI sting operation. The authorities said he provided her with what he knew to be false information. Mr. Kelly and Ms. Holloway had welcomed the news of Mr. Vandersloot's extradition in June, but on Saturday, the lawyer expressed concern about the apparent plea deal for Mr. Vandersloot. As part of the deal, Mr. Kelly said Vandersloot would share information with prosecutors about Natalie Holloway's death and agreed to plead guilty to all charges in the extortion case. Repeat, share information about Natalie's death and agree to plead guilty to all the charges in the extortion case. But Mr. Kelly was worried by the possibility that Mr. Vandersloot would provide false information, pointing out that he had changed his story and admitted to lying about Natalie Holloway's murder in the past. We should expect nothing less this time around, Mr. Kelly said in a statement on Saturday, but now he may be getting a sweetheart deal for his latest fabrication. Mr. Kelly added that the judge might even sentence Vandersloot on Wednesday. It was unclear what Mr. Vandersloot would receive as part of the plea deal. Before Mr. Vandersloot serves any time in the United States, he's expected to first return to Peru to complete the rest of his sentence there. So let me repeat that. Before Vandersloot serves any time in the United States, he's expected to first return to Peru and finish that sentence, which is a 28-year sentence. Well, oh, Lordy. New York Times is the post. New York Times is the source. Excuse me. Okay. So I understand the concern here. You're dealing with a liar, pathological liar, and 9 times out of 10, a murderer. And the fact that he would offer this woman information about her daughter, whether it's the truth or not, is the obvious. He is the one behind the disappearance of the young lady, and 9 times out of 10, the death of the young lady. So America should bring up charges. The judicial process somebody should bring up charges that he was trying to bribe this lady, get money out of her, when he knows that he's the one behind the death of the young girl. So I think while he's here, you need to try to get him on charges of murder while he is already on American soil. How about that? The jacked up part is that he's got to go back to Peru and serve that time first. Damn near 30 years before serving extortion, time for extortion here. I don't know how that's going to work. All this back and forth. Don't extradite him back no damn why. How about that? Don't extradite him no why. Keep him here. Give him a lengthy sentence for extortion, because I feel like the extortion can lead to a murder charge, an indictment for murder. Because why are you going to tell somebody something if you don't have anything to do with the crime? We know there are a lot of crooks out here, a lot of people who scheme, scam for money, hustle for money, do anything to get money. But I'm not going to implicate myself in having knowledge of someone's death, knowing that these people think I've murdered the person, just so I could try to get a lump sum of money out of their mother, father, or whomever. That's dumb. But we have dummies. He is a dummy because you're linked to this girl's disappearance. And then you go back to another foreign land and choke this girl out. See, he doesn't care. He's violent. That's why he did the crime again. He probably did the same thing to Natalie. He doesn't care. He's a crook. He's a crook. He's a crook. He's a criminal. He's a murderer. Okay? End of story. And yes, he'll probably make up some more stuff and say, she's over here, she's over there. 9 times out of 10, that girl was discarded in the water. Because if he was living on the island, he would have had access to a boat, somebody's boat. His family was allegedly wealthy. I won't doubt that they had their own private boat, fishing boat or yacht, whatever. He took that girl out and dumped her. And I think most of us know this. This is a vicious story. This is why you have to be careful when you travel abroad. I have family members who are about to go to a foreign country, I believe tomorrow. So I'm praying they're all going to stay in a group. They're all going to be careful. They're not going to go venturing off by themselves. And I know that some of these ladies, they're all going to want to imbibe and have a few drinks and enjoy themselves. I'm saying to you all directly during this live stream, please do not venture off with nobody. They're going to the Dominican Republic. So please, please, please do not venture off anywhere. Don't accept no drinks from nobody. Don't go to nobody's hotel room, suite, another resort, private party, new party, old party. Everybody stay with everybody. If 2 don't want to go, then don't nobody damn go. Because they are looking for, there's a case of a teacher who they've just found. Her remains in Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken. I read yesterday. So please, everybody, when you are traveling abroad, I don't care if you're going overseas to the UK, if you're going to Europe or you're going somewhere in the islands, Mexico, wherever, you need to be very aware of your surroundings. You need to know that these people, these poor people, these hustlers, they're watching you. They know that you are foreign. They know that you are American or from Europe. They're assuming you have money. They don't care what you have. These people will kill you. Because what you always have to remember is that people have been killed for less. So you need to pay attention to your surroundings. I don't care if you're feeling frisky, you want to hang out with somebody, you're attracted to somebody. your best bet is probably to say no. I don't care. I don't care. Be aware of your surroundings. So, family, have a wonderful trip. Be safe. Enjoy yourselves, but be aware of everybody in the group. Be aware of where everyone is at all times. If somebody wants to venture off and take a hike or a walk somewhere and other people don't want to go, make sure they stay in contact, keep their phones on, make sure all your phones are charged, because we do not want any more bad stories coming out of the islands pertaining to Americans. That's my update on Vandersloot. I don't know what's going to happen with this case, but right now, the Americans should not send him back over there. No, that's my opinion. I wouldn't send him back. Because I don't even know how much time he's supposed to get for the extortion. What is the amount of time he's supposed to get? So you have to ask that question too, because that's still going to be depressing. If he was able to stay here, depending on how Americans want to navigate with this other country and sending him back, he only does a couple years for extortion, and then you send him back over there, and then you hope and pray he stays his butt over there for 28 years in prison, or however long he's been in prison for that crime over there with that young lady, Miss Flores. I say don't send him back. That's what I say. I say thank you for extraditing him, because I feel that was very noble of them to do that, because they didn't have to do it, because a lot of countries do not extradite people who have been involved in crimes or accused of a crime. That was very noble of them to extradite him, but I'd just say be a dirty bird, and we don't send him back nowhere. Find a way to ring up charges for murder of Miss Natalie Holloway and keep his tail here. He is a bum. He is an oversized bum. He is diabolical. He is dangerous. And that's somebody you do not want walking the street. By no means. Okay, that's my update pertaining to Vandersloot. J.J. Vallow, sweet baby boy, brutally murdered by his own mother, uncle, and Chad Daybell, and also I believe the niece and that brother's wife. Yeah, I'm looping them all in there. His remains will finally be returned to the family. Please check the YouTube queue for the latest update by News Nation. Lifetime has made a movie about the Murdaugh case. Have any of you decided to watch it? Give me your feedback on my network. I just saw the clip. I watched a little bit of the clip. I cannot believe they've got Bill Pullman playing Mr. Murdaugh. I am going to watch it. But what I'm curious to know is how accurate is the information? Because when I think back to all the little reenactments, stories made on based on a true story or similar to the true story, first thing it dawned on me is how much of this stuff is accurate that we've been watching over the years. This is back when the networks used to do movies about true crime pertaining to murders. I questioned myself about that recently. I said, I wonder, all of these stories we've watched, documentaries, movies made for TV movies, private movies made by film companies, how true is some of this stuff they give us, the reenactments? Because how do you know who said what to whom? No, seriously. Just like this Lifetime movie, as somebody said in the comments below the video. Wow, already? Right, already. How true are the versions? Because this man has lied as well. I didn't commit fraud, but then yet now he's pled guilty to fraud. I didn't kill my wife and son. Still in the court crying, saying he didn't do it. That's the crime he's definitely not going to admit to. He's going to exhaust all appeals before he admits that he killed his wife and kid. How do we know what the wife said to him? Because they've got a scene in the movie, I saw the clip just now, where he was talking to her about, I've never lied to you. Because she says, you're keeping something from me. How do I know his wife said that to him? I'm just saying. I was just a thought, everybody. Trump is going to appeal the gag order pertaining to the federal election case, if you're interested. And I did read somewhere today where I believe the judge was telling him, basically, you do not have the right to do what you want to do. And I think finally somebody needs to tell him that. Although he is no longer our United States president, but he did what he wanted to do. And many Americans rode the ride and thought it was okay for him to do what he wanted to do and still feel as if this creature was in the rights for his heinous, ignorant behavior while president and thereafter, and still riding his coattail. And that's the disturbing part of this country. It's the behavior of many Americans who thinks his behavior was appropriate and thinks what happened at Capitol Hill was appropriate. And I don't know how in the world you could be a Christian and also a decent human being and think that was okay, what those people did. And a lot of those people obviously were conservatives and allegedly law-abiding citizens. And they thought that was okay to disrespect the national government and the entities within and the property within. That shows me that you don't have any respect for government. You don't have respect for yourself. Because you can be a lot of things in life. But to just go and vandalize a government building, steal out of a government building for no reason. Why would you do that and then pretend that you are a decent, law-abiding citizen and swear for God you're a good person? You're not. You're no different than the same people that you would judge and talk badly about that will commit fraud, steal, rob, hustle. It's all the same. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these people who are conservatives, who judge other people, judge other races, are racist. You are the same people that you are judging. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. That's the latest update pertaining to Mr. Trump. Let's get down to business pertaining to Mr. Chad Daybell. I had a lot of polls I've posted, and we're going to discuss those polls after I read you the said information pertaining to his defense. What is Chad Daybell's defense going to be? Hello, hippie. Thank you for joining me. Will he turn on Lori Vallow Daybell? Why were the two not tried together? Why is he the only one facing the death penalty? Should Lori have gotten the death penalty? Should he get the death penalty? Will he tell us that other people were involved in the crime, had knowledge of the crime? Will he admit to the crime of killing the children? Will he admit to killing his wife? Will he admit to committing fraud by getting the life insurance policies from his wife? I believe there were two. Lori got, I'm sure, life insurance for her husband, Charles. She also was receiving checks for the children. What was the motive for killing Charles, Tammy, and the kids? I believe it's a combination of fraud to receive money, not have to deal with the children. I believe these two wanted to be together uninterrupted without having to take care of children, be obligated, divorce their spouses. Because if you are legally married to somebody, you have any type of income, especially you're a man, you make more than a woman, she can sue you for alimony. Now, although the Daybell's children were grown, the wife could have asked for alimony. Now, as far as Charles and Lori, it's a whole nother story. He may have wanted custody of the children. Because in the end, that boy child was his relative, a descendant from his family. And the scariest part about this story pertaining to Lori, the brother, Chad, the niece, whoever else that's involved. Lori was deemed a good mother. And that's the scary part of the story. It's that she didn't show any violence toward her own children. This adopted baby. Until we learn all this evidentiary material of the children being found on Daybell's property. And just use deduction. She's just as involved. That's the scary part. She showed signs that she was detached from reality. Mother already said that. Her older brother, the other brother said that. But the point is, to others. Nobody had any knowledge that she was a violent offender, criminal record for abuse, child neglect. And that is disturbing because many people are going to grapple with that. How did this woman go from being slightly detached from reality, religiously fanatical, to conspiring to kill her children, conspiring to kill her husband, conspiring to kill another man's wife? Where were you going to stop? And that's another point of the story. How far was this going to go with all these dead bodies being racked up? Because if you can kill your kids, you can kill your husband, you can kill your boyfriend's wife, conspire with him. Damn, who was next? And one of the brothers, he said that. You disagree with her, boom, cut you off. Yeah, not just cut you off, cut you out. Get rid of you. Literally, dismember you. This is deep. I think it's deeper than what most people really realize, because this case with the Daybell'S is an example of not knowing a person. They're exemplary. When I say exemplary, I mean exemplary of you don't know who the hell you're talking to. You don't know who you are talking to. Imagine walking by somebody, talking to them, speaking, and this is what they had on their mind the whole time. Don't know how long they were plotting to kill all these people. And the sick part is they thought they were going to get away and nobody was going to come looking for these people. Come on now. Lori had to have known somebody was going to inquire about these kids. You weren't going to just get a pass in life and never produce the children. But that's why she got in jail, because she couldn't produce the children. And one thing begat another. And ironically, the brother dying months after murdering these people, you all don't find that strange? Well, I do. And I think his wife, she's involved as well. I do believe that. And I think that wife and that niece need to be strung up as well. Okay. Getting my information pertaining to Mr. Chad Daybell. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you all so much for following this network. EastIdahoNews.com is the source, everybody. Chad Daybell wants cameras in the courtroom for his trial, and the judge will hear arguments from prosecutors and defense attorneys next month about whether that will happen. The issue was discussed during a status conference Tuesday afternoon via Zoom before District Judge Stephen Boyce. Daybell appeared from the Fremont County Jail dressed in a white shirt, dark tie. John Pryor, his attorney, and prosecutors Lindsey Blake and Rob Wood also attended. Boyce banned cameras from the trials of Chad and Lori Daybell last fall. At the time, the trials were scheduled to be held together, but months later, they were severed. Why were they severed? Lori's trial was held in April, and the jury found her guilty of multiple murder charges. She was sentenced to life in prison in July. Before the cases were severed, Pryor filed a motion requesting cameras in court proceedings for his client. The court mentioned that if the court did order a severance of the cases, I would permit the issue to be revisited and would consider that the separate cases may have separate rationale for allowing or disallowing cameras in the courtroom during trial, Boyce said during Tuesday's hearing. This makes no sense to me. What is the damn difference? Both are together in the conspiracy, Mr. Boyce, Judge Boyce. So what would be the difference between cameras with her trial? They ended up being separate because of some filing that took too long or however it went, which still don't make no damn sense to me. And you got to decide on, well, okay, they're tried separate. So, well, she didn't have cameras in her trial. Well, maybe I'll consider him in his trial. Well, he said he wants them, so let him be. I still don't understand why the two were not tried together. Why were they not tried together? Explain it in layman's terms to the queen. Because I am not a legal eagle. I don't understand all this mumbo jumbo legal talk. Blake indicated that prosecutors opposed cameras, but Pryor said Daybell wanted them in the courtroom. Very interesting. Now, this is the state. So I asked that question as well on my community board. Why does the state not want cameras in the courtroom? What's the damn big deal? It's usually the defense that don't want their client judged, prejudged. They're worried about social media commentary. They're worried about the media being one-sided, being prejudicial. So what do you care, the state? Please explain to me, because I'm confused. Okay. Once again, Blake indicated that prosecutors opposed cameras, but Pryor said Daybell wanted them in the courtroom. Mr. Daybell has not changed his position since I filed this motion. He still maintains his feelings about having a public trial. Once again, why does Mr. Daybell want a public trial? I am curious. Daybell's trial is scheduled to begin in Ada County April 1st. Because he faces the death penalty, Boyce said jury selection would likely take longer and suggested questionnaires for potential jurors start being collected the week of March 19th. Blake and Pryor agreed with the time frame and said 2 weeks should be adequate to prepare for jury selection. Both the defense and prosecution said they expect the trial to last 8 weeks. That's 2 months of us dilly-dallying around with these people. Will it last 2 months? Will it last or go shorter? What do you all think? Will this be a 2-month trial? I agree that 8 weeks at a minimum is probably the appropriate amount of time. I think Ms. Blake and Mr. Wood are very well aware that in this case, the defense is going to put on a defense, and I have a number of expert witnesses, Pryor said. Now, let's go there. Mr. Pryor, what is your defense for your client, Mr. Daybell? Will he turn on his wife? Will he add other co-conspirators? Will he admit that he killed these people, conspired, admit to fraud? Will he say he did it for love, religion? Will he say it was because of the second coming? Will he plead insanity? Or will he deny all the charges? What is his defense? Who are your expert witnesses? Do you have people to speak on his behalf? That is something I meant to put on my community board. I may have put it up there. I will check here in a minute. But you hear him saying here, the defense is going to put, they're going to put on a defense, and he has expert witnesses. Who are these expert witnesses? Mental health professionals and or religious professionals, religious scholars to say how and why people commit in the name of religion. Who are the expert witnesses? Blake told Boyce that prosecutors plan to file 3 motions in the coming weeks and told the judge further DNA testing on certain evidences discussed at hearings earlier this year will not be done. Why not? Why no more testing? Running out of money, costing too much time, sending to the lab, waiting for results to get back. Don't have enough more DNA to test. It's our understanding that the defense is not going to pursue additional testing. Why are they not wanting to pursue additional testing? Is it because the fact that the children were found on the property, that was enough to say, yeah, he's guilty. He lives there. There's no way he didn't know those children were there. He put them there. He helped put them there. It's a conspiracy. There's nothing to refute pertaining to the state's evidence. That has been a little frustrating for the state because we do feel that was, if not the sole basis, the main basis for the severance, and we're not incurring a second cost of trial, time for court staff and the officers involved, as well as extra testimony for the witnesses. So this is pertaining to additional testing. So defense is not doing any more testing, nor is the state. Pryor did not dispute the claim about the DNA testing, but disagreed with Blake's assessment as to why the trials were severed. I take a little bit of issue with what Miss Blake said was the reason for continuance. My recollection was getting discovery just on the eve of trial in terms of DNA evidence was the reason for that. So I'm trying to understand that. I don't understand any of this. Daybell was indicted by a grand jury on multiple counts of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder for the deaths of J, and Tylee, two of Lori's kids, and Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell. He is also charged with 2 counts of insurance fraud in relation to Tammy Daybell's life insurance policies. The hearing on cameras in the courtroom will be held November 29th. Boyd said he plans to schedule monthly hearings leading up to the trial for additional motions to be heard. So will there be any additional motions on either side? There we have. EastIdahoNews.com is the source. What is his defense? What will it be? Will he have witnesses to say he was somewhere else? Number 1. Will he admit to the crimes and the fraud? Number 2. Will he say he did it for love, religion? He was ordered to do it by God. An angel came and spoke to him, or a zombie spoke to him. I don't know. Will he mention other co-conspirators? Will he turn on his wife? Because the fact that they were tried separately is very wicked. Why? Did the state want to make sure to secure convictions for both? Because if we put them together, I say it didn't really matter, I guess. I don't know. Because this is all tricky to me, this legal wranglings of wordings. This severance BS and this continuous BS. No one fighting the DNA testing. Maybe it's because they feel like they got enough. They're going to use. Sorry about that. They're going to use what they had before in the trial pertaining to Lori. What is the truth? Or is the testing been tested so much you can't test anything else? Because sometimes that happens too, that the samples, there's not enough in the samples to be tested. Very wicked. Let's go over to my community page and look at your responses to the information from this article. Thank you for joining me. Live number 2. Wow, what a mess. Can't get any crazier than this. This is every day I think I can't be more baffled by true crime. And it's just like, it does not stop. The stuff that people are doing out here is just wicked. I can never understand anybody killing a child. Once again, those coming into the chat, J. Vallow's remains will be returned to the family, finally. Also, Court TV has just uploaded content pertaining to the Murdaugh family murders, victim to verdict with Ted Rollins, if you're interested in that. And Bill Pullman, great actor, is playing Mr. Murdaugh in the Lifetime movie pertaining to this diabolical case. And Joran Vandersloot will plead guilty to extortion in the Natalee Holloway case. Please go back to the beginning of the video to get this information. I have a lot of questions on my community page pertaining to the murder of a 6-year-old and the stabbing of his mother by the landlord, a white man, 71 years of age. He allegedly killed them because he was angry about the war abroad between the Palestinians and the Muslims or whomever. I don't know. So really don't make no sense. I'm going to bring you those polls. But I don't know. I think it's more to it than that. I think the man was already mentally detached from reality. That's what I really believe. I'm not saying he wasn't racist, but the point is he had free will not to rent to her or anybody. So it made no sense to rent to a Jew, a Muslim, or somebody, and you don't like them. You don't like their race. Well, why would you rent to them? That makes no sense. Let's get started. Why did the state need a continuance in the Chad Daybell trial? Nobody responded. Are Chad Daybell's expert witnesses mental health professionals, religious, or both? Mental, you all said 0%. Religious, 7%. Both, 57%. Not sure, 36%. Is Chad Daybell insane? 26% of you said yes. 61% of you said no. 13% of you said not sure out of 31 votes. One comment. Eliza Phillips says, self-centered with narcissistic personality. Okay. Well, I won't doubt that. Okay. Let's get on to the next question. Lord knows I have so many. Will Chad Daybell plead guilty? Insanity, excuse me. 29% said yes, 58% no, 13% not sure. Why is Chad Daybell's defense not doing any more DNA testing? 5 comments. My assumption is that they don't need it. I hate that they are not releasing them together. Jessica responds again. JJ was neither of theirs biological child. Can you imagine? Queen replies, murder is murder. No, I said abuse is abuse. Murder is murder. They don't care. Never did. Before that, Jessica responded, I know you know that. Sometimes that detail gets me mad. It's also bad, though, pertaining to JJ being their biological child. Neither their child. But as I've said in this comment, murder is murder. Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter. When you are detached from someone being obligated, you do not care who they are. It doesn't matter if it's a job, if it's a child you're taking care of, a parent, disabled person, healthy person. When you check out, I think many of you know this because many of you have been down this road before. Not murder, but you've checked out. When you told yourself, I'm done. I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to her. I don't want to deal with them. Don't call me, block, delete. I don't answer the door, whatever. I moved on. That's what happened here. The only difference is that they stole the lives of these people. That's the difference. They checked out. And this shows you that nobody knew them. Because it's one thing to check out from being obligated. Each could have left their husband or wife. Lori could have sent the little boy back with the husband and took her daughter on, or sent the daughter on somewhere with somebody else. She had enough sisters, brothers to say, hey, I need my child to stay with you. I don't want her. But that's shame. It's called shame. Even in a narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopath brain, they still can feel some sort of shame. I can't let people know that I'm a failure, that I've got these type of feelings to where I want to check out and be with this man, this woman, whatever it is. So I kill him. Okay? I kill him. I don't got to explain nothing. I don't have to owe somebody an explanation where my child is, my son is, my daughter is. I don't got to explain nothing to a husband. I ain't got to be in court wrangling about monies and this and that. I'm done. Just then, President Biden will travel to Israel Wednesday amid the growing concerns of the Hamas conflict. Okay? Just a brief update that just came in. President Biden will be traveling abroad. Whew, Lord bless his travels, because it's a dangerous place to be traveling to. All right. 61% of you do not believe Chad Daybell is insane. 13% of you are not sure. Will Chad Daybell plead insanity? 29% of you said yes. 58% of you said no. 13% of you said not sure. Why is Chad Daybell's defense not doing any more DNA testing? I think I'm repeating myself. Yeah, I am. You all, I just read you the questions, the answers to that. Here's the one I'm curious to hear about. Will Chad Daybell turn on Lori? blame her as the reason he committed the murders, and also implicate other co-conspirators. 72% of you do believe he will turn on her, blame her, and also implicate other co-conspirators. 72% of you said yes. 17% said no. 11% believe just he and Lori did it. 0% believe that they murdered for another reason. Very interesting. Why does the state not want cameras in court of Chad Daybell's trial? Nobody responded. Why would Chad Daybell's lawyer disagree with Lori and Chad's trial being severed? Angry Mimi replies, I really can't come up with a logical answer. Does the attorney believe Chad had a better chance with insane Lori? Or does he believe Chad and Lori are some kind of king and queen from different dimensions lives? Wait, there's only one queen. And naturally, the queen responded. Ha ha ha, too funny. Yes, only one. Queen emoji, wink, and happy face. Yeah, only one queen indeed. I don't know. I still don't understand why there were two separate trials. I'm assuming that maybe the state wanted to make sure both got a guilty verdict. Because let's say you tried them together, then the jury got hung because it's two and I only believe one really did it or was involved. Then you'd have a problem. Or one walking free, perhaps. Who are the defense's expert witnesses in the Chad Daybell trial? Nobody responded. Why did defense agree to no further DNA testing in Chad Daybell trial? Nobody responded. Should the state have continued further DNA testing in Chad Daybell trial? 90% of you said yes. 10% of you said you're not sure. Why should cameras be allowed in the Chad Daybell trial? Nobody responded. Should cameras be allowed in the Chad Daybell trial? 100% said yes. 6261, Miss Fonda said, I would like to watch this trial. And yes, so would I. And I think many people would. We're used to seeing trials covered by cameras in the media. So it's just like social media. It's just like the telephone. You expect the phone to ring, have a cord attached. You have a cell phone now. You depend on it for Wi-Fi. So it's what you get used to. So it is what it is. Here comes the really crazy question of the hour. What will Chad Daybell's defense be? Had no knowledge of deceased kids or on property, didn't kill wife. 46% believe that will be his defense. 15% of you believe he will admit to the murders, but it was Lori's idea, did it for love. 31% of you believe he will blame it on religion, second coming. And 8% of you believe he will admit that both conspired of murdering these people together. So 46% of you believe he will deny everything. That he didn't kill the wife, he didn't kill the kids. And 31% of you believe he's going to blame it on religion. 15% are going to say, 15% of you believe he's going to admit to the murders, but still say it was Lori's idea and I did it for love. Very interesting. Why do you think Daybell's trials are separate? State wanted to make sure neither one got off, 69%. Defense will attempt to prove Chad not involved, 0%. State wanted one at least to get the death penalty, 8%. Defense has some sort of explanation of Chad's involvement, 0%. A and C, 23%. So 23% believe state want to make sure neither one got off, and the state wanted at least one to get the death penalty. But most of you believe the state didn't want either one to get off. That's why the trials were separate. Very interesting. Should the Daybell's trials been separate? 70% said yes. No, 24%. Very interesting. Those are my questions pertaining to Chad Daybell, Lori Daybell, the defense, evidentiary material, DNA testing. That is the set information for this live stream. Hippie says it makes no sense. I was wondering if he had PTSD or something from the military. Well, I didn't know he was in the military. Very interesting. I didn't get a chance to take the polls. Sorry. Well, you are free to go over and take the polls right now while you are listening to this live stream. There was something I wanted to put up on a poll just now. I can't even remember what it was. My memory is falling very short as of late. I don't know what is going on with me, but I can barely remember anything. It is bad. I opened up my app, YouTube app on this computer while I already had this live stream set up and forgot the reason for going into the app, the YouTube app. And I thought, why are you here? And then I told myself, oh, you were going to put something on the community page, Dodo Bird. Lord have mercy, help me. This is fooling with this YouTube stuff, questions, polls, trying to remember things to ask you all. It does become daunting. Looking up information, reading the information is daunting. That's why a lot of times I like to play a little bit of audio. But the reason why I read articles to you is because the articles give more information than a 3-minute audio video. There's always more in the article than what is in a video, unless you're listening to a winded video with the information relayed. Please take the polls. Your voice counts. I like to hear your opinion on said subject matters. I like to hear your opinions pertaining to the victims, the perpetrators, the allegations against the perpetrators. I'd like to get your opinion. I also like to ask you all personal questions on how you feel about the said situation, because we are all human. We are all flawed. We all different in opinion. We all have different perceptions. As I've always said during the live stream, none of us think alike, act alike. And this is why we are all different. And this is also the reason we have true crime, because we all navigate differently. And what would tick you off may not tick me off. What may push you to murder wouldn't push me to murder. But we're all human. And this is why I ask these tough questions. Sometimes they may seem offensive to some people. But as I tell people, why would you get upset in asking a question about anything pertaining to true crime? Because there is a reason that these people committed these crimes in the first place. And I'm just dissecting the mind. It does not mean that what I think is true or not. It's just a question. And everyone's entitled to his or her perception of the given information. And know that everything said is not the truth pertaining to true crime, and everything is a version. It's just a matter of, do you believe it or not? That's my said information. I don't have really much else to talk about. I'm almost approaching an hour into this live stream. And I was trying to think of anything else I wanted to throw in this live stream, because now I kind of like to add extra news updates and briefs. It keeps me from making separate lives for individual stories, because when they have a lot of information, the lives run longer. Because a lot of people don't give the same type of content in their YouTube videos. I tend to like to give you more detailed information. That way I don't have to hear, I heard this. I go look for the content that has the most information, as so I don't have to be trying to hear somebody cry and moan and complain about what they heard and what was left out, and you didn't mention this, because you get that a lot with true crime and bringing information. And as I said, things change at the drop of a hat. Each network article does not give the same information. So it doesn't mean that a person is trying to intentionally not give you the 411 pertaining to a story, but each update in the Google queue is different. Each network gives a different version of the information. What is the defense for Chad Daybell? Will he plead guilty? Will he plead insanity? Will he blame Lori? Will he admit they both conspired, others conspired? Or will he deny fraud, insurance fraud, the murder of the 2 children, the murder of his wife? Will he deny having any knowledge of those children being on his property? I was thinking before going live pertaining to JJ's remains finally being handed over to the family. What about the other person, the young girl? Nothing to give. That is so disturbing to me. Because nobody should be having to wait for remains of a child or anybody else. But the fact of how she was murdered, they tried to, there's no words to describe what they did to her. You wanted to make sure there was nothing left of her as to conceal the death of your own child. You can't make sense out of that. Duct taping a baby, wrapping him up like a mummy. I just can't understand what is wrong with these people. It is very disturbing because I don't think sometimes we really sit and think about the information in true crime. And it's gory and it's gritty. And I think that's why a lot of people don't really want to sit and just chop it up and dissect it, because it is that baffling. But hearing that his remains are going back to the family, it's like the other child, there's nothing to give to anybody because of how they disposed of her. How could you do that to your own child? You raised this little girl. You raised this teenager. You took this boy child in with your husband. Then you conspired to kill him. He ends up dead. Your children go missing. You kill them. I do believe Lori was there for both deaths. With your brother, I believe your niece was there. I won't doubt his wife had knowledge, the brother's wife. You knew that your boyfriend was going to kill his wife, Tammy. This is bad. You don't know people. You have no idea who you're talking to, who you're dealing with out here. And then this case up north of a landlord killing a 32-year-old woman. Killing her child, her 6-year-old child, and stabbing her. By the grace of God, she has survived. All because of this bullshit happening over here in Israel. This makes no sense to me. Free will, free thinker. And you would sever 71 years of life because of what the hell's going over in Gaza and Israel. Ask yourself, does that make any sense? You're almost 100. You're almost 100 years old, and you say to yourself, I'm going to give up my freedom because I'm a nut job. I'm mad at the world, bitter. What the hell did those Palestinians do to you over here? You're American. Nothing. What did the people in Israel do to you? Nothing. America's not even at war with these people. This is why I keep trying to tell people it's not really, I think, about Gaza and Israel. That's just the top piece of the cake. Or some would say the icing. This man is just a nut. Because when you look at the yard, what quick view I got to see of the front yard, it's all kind of stuff, posters planted. The man was already gone. He was already gone. True crime is more scary than horror movies because these things actually happen. It's heartbreaking. Yes. Yes, it is. And that's a very good point because, you watch horror movies. The movie goes off. Oh, it's made up. It's fiction. There's no boogeyman. There's nobody under the bed. There's nobody whispering from the closet. But sadly, we have creatures who will whisper from the closet, stalk you, set you up for robbery, hide under your bed, hide in your closet. plot your murder. You do have some sick, scary individuals out here. And they are boogeymen. And they are just as scary as a fictional scary movie. Because you do have people out here who are hunting people as animals, serial killers, serial rapists, pedophiles. It's all the same. You have some very ill people out here. I'm going to throw something out here that has nothing to do with true crime. Thank the Lord. Because sometimes I like to venture off of true crime because it can get too gritty. And I think I want to spin my network back to how I talked about things back in the day when I first came back. When I first came to YouTube in 2019, before I was a partner with YouTube, I talked about various topics, some true crime stories, and a lot of things were hypothetical, things I went through, some I experienced that day or 5 days ago. I like really doing that because really the true crime stuff, to me, I'm just going to be truthful, it's too much work. It's too much work. And if I'm going to be able to do other things, work and try to focus on other things, trying to keep up with the stories and the storylines and who shot JR and who said what and what the lawyer said and who did this motion, it's just time consuming. And I'm just going to be truthful. I really don't want to do that anymore. That's just my personal opinion. I don't want to continue keeping up with true crime stories, and because they go on and on and on and on. And to me, it's just too much work. And I'd like to preserve my voice if I could, just because of other reasons. I just don't want to keep bantering back and forth on updates pertaining to true crime. I'd like to really just go back to talking about just various subject matters that don't necessarily have anything to do with true crime. This is what I want to say to whomever out there. And this has nothing to do with the subject matter. So I'm off of the true crime venue right now. When you decide that you want to hire someone for a job, such as a caregiver, to come in your home to take care of a loved one, allegedly, I would think you would have a little more gumption about yourself to at least have your house look suitable, tidy, clean. Why would you want someone to come into your house to take care of an individual who is sickly? That person can't take care of himself, herself. Make me understand. A dirty house. We are living in a world filled with germs. The very reason why we had the COVID outbreak 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, it mutated into this, and this. Because of filth, because of contamination, cross-contamination. So when you have someone in your house that is not able to take care of himself or herself, you should know that you need to have a clean environment. And frankly, you shouldn't even be asking someone to come in your house to take care of a person, and you're not keeping the house clean, you're not keeping the place tidy. Because you're also introducing that person who is coming in to help you, you're introducing them to germs. And I'm just trying to understand the logic. This is why I say I'm amazed at the stuff that people do every day. I think I can't be more amazed. It's always something. A person who is bedridden needs to be in a clean environment. They need their sheets cleaned. They need their bodies cleaned. They need to be turned every 2 to 3 hours. They need their hair clean, washed. Maybe not necessarily daily, but at least 2 times a week you need to be washing someone's hair, depending on what type of hair they have. If it's really thick, coarse, prone to dandruff, then you possibly need to wash it more than 2 times a week. It needs to be combed, braided, put up, something, shaved. If it's a man, he needs to be shaved. Ears clean, nose. See where I'm going with this? Fingernails clipped, toenails clipped, clean between the toes, all crevices of the body, all wounds taken care of. Doctor's appointments need to be met. The room needs to be clean. Food needs to be put away, thrown in the trash. Why would somebody need to tell you this and you're an adult? And then you people act like you're so concerned about your health. Oh, I need a caregiver. Oh, I need somebody to come in. But you're introducing that person also to germs. I am trying to understand what in the hell is wrong with you all out here. Animals running in and out of the door. You have access to your animals. You give your animals access as if they're humans to run in and out of a door, which means bugs are going to be coming in your house because bugs can now come in. So now you have fleas in your house. And you think that a caregiver, would want to subject himself or herself to be getting bit by fleas. Please explain that to me. Why would somebody want to work for you and take care of a sick person or disabled person and also be getting bit by fleas? So then the person has to ask themselves, if they're looking at people in the house with flea bites, you've admitted that there are fleas in the house, didn't tell the person that when you told them to come see about taking care of someone, then the person also has to think about lice, cooties, so on and so forth. Okay? So if a client is laying there and their hair is matted with dandruff, I think you all know where I'm going with this story. Then that person possibly has head lice. Why not? You're not washing your hair. That's how lice comes about. Lice, cooties, whatever you want to call them, comes from filth, not cleaning your body, not bathing, not taking care of linen, washing linen. This is why we have roaches. This is why we have bed bugs, so on and so forth. Breeding ground for natural bugs. And you want a person to come in from their clean environment, their automobile, however they traveled, to subject themselves to a house that is not clean, surfaces not wiped off, food not thrown away in garbage cans, countertops, kitchen, dishes aren't clean, fly traps hanging in your house. You think this is appropriate for a stranger to come in? You want somebody to prepare the sick person's food in the kitchen with a fly trap hanging from the ceiling. Please explain to me, how in the fuck does this make any sense to you? Help me out here. Somebody in the chat want to answer? This is what's on my mind today. Besides Mr. Chad Daybell. I'm just befuddled that you think a person would subject themselves to getting their own self sick and take out germs from your house, and your house is nasty. And of course, there have been worse situations of a house, because I've been in a home that was way worse than what I just went into. Yes, I'm going to admit this is a true story. A very true story. Queen has seen worse. Oh, trust me, there are no words for one place I went into. But you wouldn't believe it if I told you. But I'm trying to understand the logic behind trying to hire somebody to do a job and the environment is not up to par. And there's a risk of the caregiver getting sick and taking out germs. And I've always said this. I know my body, I know me. Whenever I start itching, scratching, there's something amiss, awry in the room, in the structure. That's first and foremost. Because a person should naturally be scratching and itching when they go into an environment if they weren't scratching and itching before they got there. And if the person has washed their body before they went in, had on clean clothes, then 9 times out of 10, when they got to the new place and started scratching and itching, it wasn't because it came from their house. Treat people the way you want to be treated. You can't get help if you're inviting people into a negative environment. And if you're not trying to help the person who's also sickly better their circumstances by keeping up their hygiene and making excuses for why their hair isn't combed, why their hair isn't washed, you didn't give them a bath, you don't give them a bath, but every few weeks, What in the hell are you talking about? Because this is what you have to tell yourself. If a caregiver comes into that situation, now he or she is a party to what you don't do. Because let me tell you something about trying to bathe somebody who is dead weight. It's going to be a problem, especially if they cannot walk. So that means you're giving them a bed bath. And I can't understand why a spouse or mate would not want their loved one to get bathed in the bed, especially a grown man, a big man, tall person. He needs to be washed thoroughly. And that also means you're going to have to turn them, flip them, so you can wash the backside of their back, their buttocks, their legs, their feet, the way you would want to be bathed when you take a shower or take a bath. I would not wish this on anyone, to ever be bedridden, to ever be paralyzed, quadriplegic, not able to bathe yourself, use the restroom on a toilet, walk into a shower, or climb into a bathtub. If you can do any of these things, you are blessed and don't even realize that you are blessed. And until you see a person bedridden to where they cannot get up to use the restroom, walk, talk, run, well, they can talk, but they can't run, they can't skip, they can't hop, you realize how good you have it. But this is my message today. Do not invite people into your home, into a contaminated environment to do a job for you. I don't care what the job is. I don't care if it's to fix a toilet, hang a blind, take care of a relative, a child, clean your house. And if you're going to be taking care of someone who is bedridden, do right by them. Wash their hair. Make sure they get a haircut if they need it. If the hair needs to be put up, braided, do it. Find somebody to do it. Trim their toenails, fingernails. Clean their body thoroughly, crevices. Make sure they are getting their diaper changed. Ointments put in the designated areas. Any sores tended to. Make sure they're going to doctor's appointments to tend to anything that is not looking right. We live in a very vile world. And one thing, as I've said to some people pertaining to this situation that I'm speaking of, Queen is very good in noticing bullshit. I'm a good bullshit reader. And when I go into a place and I say, there's something not right here, and I see neglect, and I see foulness, I don't want to have anything to do with you, because I don't want to be a party to it. And as Dr. Phil loves to say, I'm a mandated reporter. I'm supposed to call it in if something is not right. Exactly. So if you are classifying yourself as a caregiver, CNA, LPN, registered nurse, a counselor, a therapist, you notice any type of neglect, physical, mental, verbal, unkemptness, you are supposed to report it. And see, we live in a world where people do not like to get involved in things of that nature, as far as reporting people, their living conditions. And as I've been told by a social worker, we don't always remove children from unkempt environments. But see, I always tell you that's the start of a problem. Because neglect of a house will lead to neglect of the children. You don't clean a house, why would you clean a child? Why would you clean a relative that's bedridden or disabled? It's all the same to me. So one thing begets another. So what you don't think is a big deal can lead to a big deal down the road. And now people are looking at you saying, well, why didn't you do anything? You're a social worker. You all knew that the house wasn't clean. You knew that they had problems, bugs, whatever. You let the children stay there. You let the older person stay there, the disabled person stay there. The next thing you know, you're hearing a horrific story of somebody with bed sores, open wounds, emaciated, so on and so forth. Because as I said, one thing begets another. It is time for people to stop turning a blind eye and act like they don't want to do something about a situation. This is really the reason why we have true crime. This is why I asked you all the question the other day during the live stream about if you were a woman, would you date and or marry a quadriplegic or a paralyzed man? You have 2 children of your own, or children, just coming out of a bad situation, relationship, marriage. Would you go and date and marry a man who cannot walk, run, can only work from home via a computer? Would you choose this type of man? I'm just asking. Because some would ask why. And it's not to say that a man or woman that's disabled does not need love. Of course they do. But you got to think about the long haul down the road. Your children are still school age. They need to get out, maneuver. How's it going to be only one parent will be doing all the ripping and the running and the patronizing of events, shopping, caretaking? Your children are not conducive as far as helping out around the house, which that's a parent's job to make the children help. Somebody's going to fall by the wayside. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the disabled person. And then I have to question, as I said to someone, what is the motive behind a person wanting to be with a paralyzed individual? And then we realize you're not even taking good care of that person. And you're sleeping and slumbering beside this person knowing they need their hair washed. They need to be taking a damn bath. And when a person can make an excuse about purchasing a bath chair, but they can order everything off of Temu, I have to question your motives. And I'm going to say, I smell a rat. That maybe this person is trying to be with somebody for financial gain, if you get my drift. That they're thinking down the road to prosper for themselves. Maybe perhaps they're not a legal citizen. They need legal citizenship. May even be putting life insurance on the person. Maybe they know the person really isn't that well, but they haven't divulged that to anyone. See, you never know because you don't know people. And that's what I told somebody recently. There's more to the story. And that's why I kindly removed myself. Because I'm not about to be a party to anything nefarious. I'm not about to be a part of anything that is unkempt and that can affect me physically and mentally. Because I do not do unclean environments. I have no reason to. I don't give a damn what the dollar amount is. I'm not going to get myself sick trying to take care of somebody else. Because in the end, I have to take care of self and I have to pay the due bill. That's just what was on my mind, everybody. Thank you for joining me. When I get more information pertaining to Mr. Daybell and another hearing, I'm sure there'll be one coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'll bring you that said information. Once again, Gerard Vandersloot will be pleading guilty to extortion of Miss Holloway, Miss Natalie Holloway's mom, currently in the U.S., but the other country wants him extradited back before the U.S. gives him a sentence. So that's a tricky situation. And I probably will put up a poll pertaining to that. Do you think the U.S. should keep him here and let him do his time and then ship him over to finish his 28-year sentence abroad? Murdaugh movie now playing on Lifetime. Have not watched it yet. If you have, give me your commentary on what you think of the movie. And also we'll put up a horror movie for this week. Movie suggestion. I will put up a scary movie. I said I was going to put up a scary movie every day for you all since it is October and Halloween is fastly approaching. Thank you all so much for following this network. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below the videos, the polls. Take the polls. Give your opinion. Make this content go viral. Thank you for your support. And once again, if you'd like to donate, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live. Thank you all so much for patronizing and giving your opinions in the chat. My next Crime Vault story will be pertaining to Susan Smith. We're going to discuss the man who had a brief sexual encounters with her while she was locked up, and she is still currently locked up, of course, in a South Carolina prison. But I'm going to bring you information pertaining to this man. I just watched a documentary pertaining to him. It's a very wicked story because in the end, this man has had a hard time finding employment and is still currently married to his wife. So that is something I never knew. Never knew him, never knew what he looked like, never knew he was married, and never knew he could not find employment. So most would probably say, well, why didn't he move? Why didn't he move to another state? Why didn't he move to another town? Why didn't he try to change his name? Preservation is first. Would you have stayed with him? I'm going to put that poll up too. So if you can mosey on over to my community board to take that poll pertaining to Susan Smith, we're going to put up some polls. I'm going to put up some polls pertaining to her and this man and the wife. Do you think she should have stayed with her husband knowing he had slept with her inside of the prison? 9 times out of 10, he didn't use protection, no condoms. And then one would say, well, she probably didn't have no disease because there are not a lot of men in the prison. I don't know what's going on in the prison. I don't know how many guards work. Who's to say what she was doing in that prison and with whom? But that's just something I'm throwing out there. Very interesting information. Hello, S. Lee. You're very welcome, sweetheart. Thank you for coming in. Gonna go over to the community page. I'm going to put up a few more polls pertaining to Vandersloot and Susan Smith. That's my next live stream. I want to get that story out of the way because it's a very wicked story of a woman who lied and said a black man carjacked her and kidnapped her children many moons ago. 30-something years ago, but it was all a lie. She drowned her babies in a lake by leaving them in a car and letting the car roll down into the water. Very wicked story. And we have to ask that question too. Should she have been put to death for the murders of her 2 precious baby boys? And something else I learned in that documentary that I had not heard before is that Susan Smith was married. I thought her and the baby daddy were just, like boyfriend, girlfriend. Because it's been a long time ago that this incident happened. But in the documentary, it says they had been separated several times. I guess they get together, break up, get together, break up. So I was saying to myself, so what are you saying? She was married to him still and they weren't living together when she was dating this other guy or liked the guy at her job? And as that guy who slept with her said, the guard, I can't believe she killed her kids because she couldn't get this guy. Because she was a nice looking lady. This is what he says about Susan Smith now. She was a nice looking lady. She is a nice looking lady. I can't understand a woman killing her kids to be with a man. But then I had to question myself. You just had sex with that same woman who killed her kids because she couldn't get that man that she liked. Okay, Lee says she thinks she's up for parole soon. Well, let's talk about that. Should she be paroled for killing both children? I'm going to say this and I'm going to check out of here. I think a lot of people don't get parole when it comes to murdering more than one. Because what people have to ask is the obvious. You killed 2, 3, 4. Hell no, you don't need to walk around. Because some crimes are just what they are. They're deliberate. They're atrocious in nature. Depending on if there's dismemberment, burying of the bodies, things like that, hiding of the bodies. Why would I want you walking around? But as you've seen with the Manson clan, that's another live I was supposed to have brought you months ago. That lady has now been paroled herself. And how do you feel about that? Although she's older now, most of her life has gone by, she's now a free woman, one of the Manson clan members. Should Susan Smith be paroled? Should she be given another chance at life to walk free? Or should she stay in prison, die in prison? Should she have been given the death penalty? That is my sad commentary for this live stream. Thank you so very much. You have been listening to The Vault XL. Thank you.